2023. And we have a number of very interesting news, and as you might have seen that my news were a bit sporadic. I took a bit of a break. That was just because I was away on a distillery tour. And in the end I will have also some news that were not like public news, but actually news that I have seen on the Isle of Islay. So stay tuned, I will add them at the end. But let's start with Ardbeg on the Isle of Islay. And there will be a new Ardbeg Heavy Vapors as the Fèis Ìle bottling 2023. And I was actually at the distillery. I've seen the bottle. I've not tried the bottle, but I've got told how this actually works. And the Heavy Vapors, which is public knowledge, is that the spirit is done without the purifier. As you might know and might see, as I'm bringing out a new distillery video about Ardbeg, they have a purifier in the line arm, and they actually deactivated it. So the purifier purifies out any heavy alcoholic vapors, and that is normal for Ardbeg, but at some point they actually deactivate the purifier, so the heavy vapors got into the condenser, and it condensed into the new make spirit, and this is how the heavy vapors actually got produced. This will have probably a big impact and a lot of heavy spicy characters added to the Ardbeg. So they changed the distillery character for that bottling. Some interesting stuff. In addition to that, you had the Planet Ardbeg graphic novel that will also come out to complement it on the 3rd of June, the Ardbeg Day. Then we have next up the Talisker Parley Wilder Seas Cognac finish. It's a whiskey that is done in a very, very reliable way with 100% really clean energy bottles, and also in a very sustainable way, and a lot of money from that from the sale of these bottles will also go into sea rescue, as in cleaning up the sea and keeping it that way. It is actually an XO cognac cask, and that is the first XO cognac cask from Talisker with 48.6% ABV. You can also buy it if you're in the Netherlands. You can also buy it at Whisky.com. Then we have the new Kythe Distillery, and they are being it's being erected in the Highlands. It should start production in 2024, and the design is very, very traditional. So traditional that they actually want to fire their wash still with wood. So they actually want to burn wood to fire the wash still. I do know one distillery that wanted to do that. I'm not quite sure if they did it, but they had good connections to a lumber mill, so they probably will, and they are in the forest in Japan. Other distilleries like Glen also do wood fire, but they actually do it in wood chips, and produce steam with it, not direct firing. Pretty sure these guys want to do direct fire, which is pretty rare these days. Their yearly capacity should be 50,000 liters. That's around 250 casks a year. Then we have Macallan Folio 7, which is the 7th edition in the Archibald series. And since 2015, Macallan is bringing that as a limited edition out there. The Boffin's Baffled advertisement from the 1980s is kind of their inspiration for that, and that is the design that they're actually bringing on the label. We have 43% ABV, and unfortunately you can't just buy them, but you actually have to go through a lottery at Macallan to get options to buy it. A really tough thing, but it's limited edition, so what are you gonna do? Next up we have a new bottling from Wolfburn, and I've actually been at Wolfburn like a little bit more than a year ago, and I was allowed to try their 9-year-old cask, and now they're bringing out the Wolfburn 10-year-old, and I've tried these casks, and they were really good. They could have bottled it back then, but I think they wanted to have the 10 on the bottle, and they're bringing out really sherry cask whiskey, 46 ABV. No coloring, no chill filtration, and you can buy that at Whisky.com if you live in the Netherlands. Then we have Diageo, and they are bringing out 6 bottlings from Distillers Edition 2023. And their label design is with a stylist element from all of the distilleries. That is Lagavulin, Talisker, Cragmore, Oban, Delvini, Glenkinchie. So they really represent these distilleries through the design. Then we have a bottling from Glen, and it's from 1948. And yeah, that is the year when King Charles III was born, and that is in honor of his coronation. Yeah, so a 74-year-old Glen Grant, that will be really, really expensive. I'm not quite sure if these bottles are actually sold. I know who gets one as a present. That will be the king. So they're only 281 bottles, and it's a cask strength of 50.4%. Yeah. Then we have England. Berry Brothers and Rudd are now getting into Cotswolds Distillery. So the English company was the second biggest whiskey distillery, and now they are going to the biggest whiskey distillery, and they had a bit of a crowdfunding, and Berry Brothers got in there and bought quite a lot of their shares. And yeah, they are still minority, they're not majority, but they have quite a number of shares, and so it will change nothing. They might get into the majority in the future, but who knows. Yeah. Next up in the news is Ireland. There's a new Teeling single grain, 15 years old, and it was maturing in ex-bourbon barrels and a finish in ex-Bourbon Sauvignon Blanc casks, 50% ABV, 95% corn, 5% malted barley. That is always 5% malted barley, so you don't have to have special enzymes in it. You can have the natural enzymes from the malted barley. Then you have the Bushmills Distillery. They're opening a new Causeway Distillery. Causeway, they already had the Causeway collection, and that is the Giant's Causeway, which is kind of a nature, it's the cliffs that are really, really, really famous. The Giant's Causeway at the north coast of Ireland. And I actually had a nice look at that from my flat at Port Ellen. You can sit there. I had a winter garden, a glass front, and I could have the binoculars, look over there and see a bit of Ireland there. 37 million pounds is the money they spent on this Causeway distilleries at Bushmills, and good luck to them. Bushmills is a good distillery, so hopefully they will have a good sister distillery as well. Then let's move over to the United States. There is that Bob Dylan Heaven's Door whiskey. There was a lot of rumors about there will be a new distillery, and it turns out there is a new distillery already, and they are opening it in Pleasureville, Kentucky. They actually did already stuff since 2018, and they built the distillery in 2017. So it was all hush hush, and we might have already tried some of their stuff. That's like 7 years ago or something like that. And they now want to finish the building, and they actually want to open it officially in September 2023, and they will have 2 separate still house and traditional stables and a lot of other stuff. So I think we'll wait for the official news in September to come out, because they will have probably a lot to present there. Then we have Jack Daniels in the news, and they are bringing out the McLaren Racing Edition. Yeah, that it has a special design with McLaren, with their orange McLaren in combination with the black from the old number 7. And yes, that is another old number 7 with a different cask, with different bottle. And people do like it. So I think, not quite sure where you can buy it. Not quite sure if it's on the international market. I think it's not on the international market. I think you have to go to the racetrack to buy it. But I'm not quite sure. You'll probably find it on the second-hand market. Then we have international news from Mackmyra, and they're bringing out a new small batch series called Muddus, and that's from the National Park Muddus, and the whiskey was matured in forests, wild raspberries, and also multiberry wine casks. Not quite sure what that is. And that is only 3,017 bottles with 43.7%. As I mentioned, it's small batch. Talking about small batch, I never thought I had these in the news, but the Faer Isles Distillery is starting production. For everybody who doesn't know where Faer Isles is, Faer is kind of the theme there. You spell it F-A-E-R, but it's really far away. It's like middle of Atlantic Ocean, but not middle of Atlantic Ocean, like west of Great Britain, but north of Great Britain. So it's really probably really tough out there. And yeah, they had the project since 2021, and they now starting production with a production capacity of about 600 casks per year, which is quite nice. They have 2 stills, and they really are into the art of the cask maturation from the locals. And hopefully is like you have a normal cask maturation surrounded by just Atlantic, but they said something about fermentations of food, and hopefully not in the cask that is then used to finish. I'm not quite sure if we really want the sauerkraut finish, but who knows? Sauerkraut cask finishes, I don't know, but they have a lightly peated new make, and really, you've done it. Building a distillery on Faer Isle, that is really hard to do, and they actually pulled it off, and I'm really excited about what will come out of that project, because that I don't think they would make it, but kudos to you. Yeah, so as I promised, I have 2 like first-hand news. The first-hand news is I had a flat in Port Ellen that was right next to the distillery of Port Ellen that is just currently being built, and my bathroom actually I was able to look into the still room from Anne's Airbnb, which is an awesome Airbnb, by the way. And yeah, so I had a look into the still room. You can look into the still room because it's pretty glass everywhere. They're currently redoing the roof of the Port Ellen warehouses, and the stills that are in here quite big, quite numerous. Not quite sure how far they go into beyond, how many there are, at least 4 I would say. And they already are a bit, you see that they have been heated yet. And that means they are already at least in the stage of distilling water. Maybe they already have some fermentation, and then they get into the character of trying to reproduce the character of the Port Ellen, if they want to do that, or creating a new character. So they are already probably in the production stage. What you can say for certain is this is happening. Port Ellen will be reopened. There was always a bit of rumor of really gonna do it. Yes, they will do it. They are quite far, and they are managing it. From what you can see of the construction site, they're managing it quite good. Yeah, and the other thing is I was at the Ardnahoe Distillery, which is on the east coast of the Isle of Islay, at the Sound of Islay, and that is really an enhancement for the east coast of Islay, because they have a nice cafe. I've been eating that twice, and that was really good. They have nice stuff, and food allergies is also really good, so you can get stuff that you can really, everybody can get something. And yeah, I had the Highland burger, it was awesome. And the distillery is also nice. Yes, the distillery is actually more important. The distillery looks really nice. It was built, what the Langs built there is quite massive. And I think they are doing warm tubs and very long line arms. So it's really interesting what they are gonna do there. And yeah, at least what you can say for sure is that they are not in small business. So in 2 or 3 decades time, that will be a very established brand of single malt from the Isle of Islay. That I would say for sure, if you have a look what they've built there. Yeah, so that was it. Thank you very much for watching, and see you next time.